All right, picking up with slide number 21. Let's talk about simple and expanded positions of triads. So up to this point, we have written and talked about triads in what we're going to call their simple position, right? And simple position just means what we've been doing. It means when we have we have our triad, a C major triad here in this case, and we have our root at the bottom, we have our third in the middle, and we have our fifth on top, right? We're going to call that simple position, right? Just root, third, fifth, okay? Let's move on to our next slide here. So, simple position, it's important that you recognize that chords in sort of the real life of music seldom appear in their simple kind of triad position like that, right? Instead, they're so often expanded, right, by doubling or duplicating tones in other octaves and spreading the chord over a wider range. So let's think here. In a C major triad, right, what are my three pitches? We have C, E, G, right? That's simple position. Now, if I want to do an expanded version of this, I might double some of the tones, right? So perhaps maybe I'll go, the example here we have on slide 22, what do we have? Our root, third, then I'll play another root up here. So now I have two roots, and then a fifth, and then a third up here, right? So I have our, root, third, root, fifth, and then a third up here. So in this case, what have I doubled? I've doubled the root, because now I have two roots. I've got one here and one here. And then I have two thirds. I got one here and one up here. And then I just have one fifth, right? So that's an expanded version of a C major triad. It's important to remember also, it's still called a triad, even though I played, 5 different keys, right? I played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different keys. But I only played root, third, or fifth, which is 3 different tones, right? Therefore, it's still considered a triad, even though I played 5 different keys there, okay? So you can do this, so it doesn't really matter where I play these 3 tones, right? Maybe I go here then. Here's the second example. We have a root, fifth, root, fifth, and third, right? Right, so there's another triad, but in expanded position, right? Okay, so that's the idea of simple versus expanded positions of triads, okay? So simple is just how we've been doing them, and expanded is you could kind of do all kind of like maybe something like where I play what? Root, root, third, fifth, third, or something, right? Okay, so now, moving on here, let's talk about inversions of triads, okay? So, inversions. Up to this point, we've been playing all of our triads in what's called root position. And that just means that the root has been the lowest note of each triad, right? Or in other words, the base of the triad, right? In my simple triad, what's my root? It's C, and that's the lowest note, right? Right? In any version of this, let's see, what do we have? The next example, root, third, then I have root, and then, what here, fifth, and then third on top. So I have that. Still, what's my lowest note? It's right here, it's my root, right? So anytime I have my root as the lowest note, right? That's going to be called root position, right? All right. Now, it's not always the case that the triad is in root position. Let's move on to slide 24. We have inversions now, right? We have first inversion and second inversion. So first inversion is when we take the third of the triad that's in root position, right? What's the third of a C major triad? It's E, right? The middle note, C, E, G. So the third is E. So if I put E as my bass note, meaning my lowest note, and play the other tones of the triad, being G and C above it, right? Then I get what's called first inversion, okay? Let's see, let's look at one of the examples here we have on slide 24 that says C major triads in first inversion. We have E in the bass, and oh, by the way, it doesn't matter where I put the E. I could put it here, I could put it here, I could put it here, right? Any of these other E's can be my bass note. Still going to be considered first inversion. So let's take the one they give here. So we have E, my third, and then a fifth, and then a root, and then what? A fifth, and then my root on top of that. So here's the chord, right? It's still a C major chord or triad, but my root is now my bass note is the third of the chord. It's E, and so it's considered a first inversion of the C major triad. So that's first inversion. Let's now talk about second inversion. So second inversion is kind of the same logic here, but we're going to take the fifth of the root position C major triad. What's the fifth? It's G, right? C, E, G, 1, 3, 5. Now if we put the fifth as the lowest note, that's going to be second inversion. And again, it doesn't matter if I use this G as the fifth, this G, this G, this G, or any G. Let's take the example they give here. It's this particular G. And then what do I have? A third above that. Remember, my third is E. And then I have a root above that. And then I have what? A 3-5 root. So then I've got my 3-5 root. So I get this inversion, right? G is in the bass. G is in the bass, and so that's it's a second inversion chord. Okay? So, to sum that up, just remember that, okay, root position means that the root of the triad is in the bass. First inversion means that the third of the chord is in the bass, meaning the lowest note of the triad. Second inversion means that the fifth of the triad, in this case it's G, is in the bass. Okay, so root position, first inversion, second inversion. All right. Moving on here. Let's practice some of these. So it's always good to practice these things and really listen to them. So let's take, I just did this one, we'll do it again. The C major root position, first inversion, second inversion. So we have our root position here, then first inversion, right? Now it's going to be E in the bass, because that's my third. Then second inversion, now G is in the bass again. Right? So that's second inversion. Then we'll go back to first inversion, and then back to root position, right? So root, first inversion, second inversion, first inversion, back to my root position. Let's take another example. Let's take the next one they have here on slide 25. Looks like a D minor triad. Okay, so we've got D, F, A, right? Those are my notes in the D minor triad. think about it. What's my root? D, D, and then what's my third? F, and then what's my fifth? A, so D, D, F, A. So that's root position. Then if I want to do first inversion, now I have to have F in the bass, right? Because F is my third. So I have now F, A, D. And then if I want to do second inversion, I have to put A in the bass, right? So now A, D, F, right? Okay, let's do as it's written here. So we have root, position, first inversion, second inversion, then back to first inversion, and then root position. Okay? So practice those. Pause this video. You could practice those. The next one's B flat, and then what? F, B flat, major triad, right? And then you'll have your first inversion, and then second inversion, and then back to first inversion, and then root position, and then you have F after that. All right, pause this video, go through, practice those, listen to them, and then come back.